you've written a lot about law enforcement, and we're not enforcing the law.
Nope.
Talk about that a little bit. What is the effect of not doing that? And then I'll ask you, why are we not doing that?
We've unleashed anarchy upon our cities. We are subjecting business owners to predation. We have given up on the basic obligation of civilization, which is to protect property. I actually think that the widespread looting that is going on in many, many American cities on a daily basis. Statistically, it is known in New York City. Every single day, there will be hundreds of business owners who are stolen from. And yet, our mayor, Eric Adams, concerns himself with other things. As far as I'm concerned, when you know that as a statistical truth, that you are not protecting those business owners' expectations of security in their property, you have no right to exist as a government. That is even more shocking than the violence. It's strange to say, because obviously if you're the victim of a violent crime, that is life-changing and is also a deprivation of some of your basic rights. But the ongoing assault and insecurity of property is really unbelievably corrosive. And this is an absolutely predictable result of the fact that we have decided that to enforce the law it's not that we decided, it is true. It is a truth that if we enforce the law in a neutral, colorblind fashion, we will have a disparate impact on Black criminals. Not because the law and the criminal justice system is racist, not because the police are racist or we're white supremacist, but because the crime rates are so much higher in the Black community. And anybody who's looking around today and saying, what the heck is going on with these progressive prosecutors? It's Alvin Bragg in New York or George Gascon in Los Angeles or Kim Fox in Chicago, Larry Krasner in Philadelphia. Why have they decided to put off entire categories of crime are essentially decriminalized, so they're not going to enforce trespass or theft or fair beating, resisting arrest? If you don't understand race, you don't understand what's going on. It's all about race. If there were no racial disparities in criminal offending, our attitude would basically be lock them up and throw away the key. Nobody would be talking about mass incarceration. Mass incarceration is a euphemism for the fact that there are racial disparities. Let me give you, again, facts that are not allowed in the public sphere, Dr. Arnn, because the only allowable explanation for any racial disparity, here's the rule, is racism. You're not allowed to talk about behavior. You're not allowed to talk about skills. When it comes to behavior, in the post-George Floyd race riot era, Black juveniles are shot at 100 times the rate of white juveniles. Blacks between the ages of 10 and 24 die of gun homicide at 24 times the rate of whites in that same age cohort. Who's killing them and who's shooting them? Not the police, not whites, but other Blacks. There is carnage going on an unbelievable basis daily in inner cities. And the world and the press turns its eyes away because it's terrified that it doesn't know how to close those crime gaps.
You had a great article, more than one, but you had a great article not so long ago about death rates by cops in Imprimis, our publication, which everybody can get if they want it. Can you remember those numbers? How many people do cops kill in a year in America?
Well, cops kill, it's been remarkably stable ever since the Washington Post started keeping track in 2015, which to me suggests that this is not some arbitrary number. It reflects the degree to which cops interact with violent, armed, and resisting suspects, because that's what predicts cop use of lethal force. If you don't want to get killed by a cop, here's a simple thing: do not resist arrest. So every year the cops shoot fatally about 1,000 people. A little over half of those are white, so about 52, 53, 55% are white, and about 25 to 27% are Black. So the Black Lives Matter activists, Al Sharpton, and the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, they get their hands on that 25% number and they say, aha, racist criminal justice system because blacks are 13% of the nation's population. So they're being shot at about twice the rate. That's the wrong benchmark. The question is, what is the black crime rate? And if you look at the 75 largest counties in the United States, which is where most of the population resides, blacks commit about 66% of all violent crime, though they're 15% of the population in those counties. So that means that here in New York City, for example, blacks are 22% of the population. They commit about 75% of all drive-by shootings. Whites are 34%. They commit 1 to 2% of all drive-by shootings. Add Hispanic shootings to black shootings, you account for about 100% of all shootings in New York City. This has enormous consequences for policing. It means that virtually every time the police are called to a shots fired call, meaning somebody's been shot in one of these grotesque, barbaric drive-by shootings that have taken dozens of black children's lives since George Floyd, they are almost always being called to a scene, being given the description of a black suspect if anybody is cooperating with them for once, and the victims are themselves black. That explains why blacks are shot more at a higher rate. Here's the other comparison, though. A police officer is 400 times as likely to be killed by a black person as an unarmed black is to be killed by a police officer. So libertarians like Radley Balko always go around saying, oh, policing is so safe. You know, it's just bathos. It's just this sickly, treacly, sentimentality that says policing is racist, that doing a felony car stop is really a safe activity. If it's safe to be a police officer in America, it's really safe to be an unarmed black vis-a-vis a police officer. So everything the public thinks it knows about policing, crime, and race from the mainstream media is a lie. Reverse it and you have the truth.